We're talking now with Naomi, who works with Migraine Ireland. Naomi, you're very welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You might tell us a bit about your own role first before we do anything, just so we know who we're talking to.
Sure, yeah. So I am the info line and migraine support officer at Migraine Ireland. So basically, in a nutshell, we have an information service, because a lot of what people just need is someone to talk to and information. So I primarily look after that. And then I just provide people support in whatever way I can. So try to do as much as we can for people. And that's really it in a nutshell.
Very good.
Yeah, that's my job. Yeah.
Tell me this, you have a new website, have you?
Yeah, we launched our new website a few months ago. So we're really excited about it. Yeah. So it's great, and we hope that it's nice and user friendly and modern, and we just try to keep it migraine friendly too, and sensitive to people and the various needs that come with migraine and headache conditions in general. So far we've got lovely feedback anyway so far. So we're very happy with it anyway, and we're hoping to build on it. We want to expand it and put more info up there and all the rest. So
I read all the information on it, and it's very, very chock full of very, very good information. I'd imagine if I was somebody with migraine, I'd get great comfort from the information on it.
Oh, thank you. Though that's the best feedback we could possibly get. So thank you. Thanks for that. Thank you.
You might tell us a bit about migraine. What is it? What exactly is it?
Well, migraine is to be honest, nobody is really 100% sure of what actually causes it. And as a result, then there's not really a cure. But the modern thinking is that it's essentially a disorder of the nerves and the nerve activity in the brain. And so if you have what we say migraine brain, that will be unique to you, but it will essentially interfere with how you are perceiving the world around you and perceiving your own sensations in your body. So that could the most well recognized symptom would be the painful headache, where people are they're quite debilitated. And we have one of our supporters, Dr. Nick Silver. He's an NHS neurologist specialist in migraine, but he always says that when you're having a migraine attack, it's one of the most disabling experiences that a person can have. And I suppose it's very unique to the person because it affects everybody differently depending on which area of your nerves it decides to play havoc with. So for me, it might be my stomach. For you, it might be, you might get aura, you might see, have impact your vision. For another person, it might just be headache. For some person, it might be no headache at all. It might be dizziness. It might be brain fog. So it can actually affect people in so many different ways. And it has lots of other kind of symptoms as well, like it can affect your sinuses and things like that. So I go on and on really about it because it's so vast and so varied. But one of the things people can find hard about it is joining the actual dots, because the symptoms, maybe some of the symptoms aren't as well known as kind of the classic headache itself. But when one of our hope anyway is that when people do understand, they might then join the dots themselves and be able to have a better outcome then when they kind of can join the dots and attack it then themselves that way.
Very good. Now, how many people in Ireland have migraine? And I'm always interested in the gender split.
Well, so it's an interesting question actually. So the most recent statistics that I read on Ireland said that it was estimating actually upwards over 800,000 people in Ireland have it now. So that's increasing. And I think with awareness about the condition, maybe more people are coming forward because unfortunately, throughout the history of migraine, a lot of people have lived with it and they haven't come forward. So the statistics aren't really as accurate as they could be. And then again, with the gender split's interesting. So there are 3 times more women diagnosed with migraine than men, and one reason for that is that in women, the female hormones, your estrogen and things like that, can trigger migraine and react and cause some of the symptoms with migraine and bring it on. But also, historically, it's true that the how migraine affects men hasn't been as well understood. And
is that, sorry to cut in, is that because men are generally poor at going about their health issues?
It's something, and I suppose it's the classic line. It's only a headache. You know, that a lot of people who live with it. My husband, for example, lives with it, and a lot of people live with it, and they tend to just try and get on with it. And I think men, like as you say, can be a little maybe more guilty of that, and maybe not the men that are guilty. Maybe it's society that's guilty, that they've come to feel that way, that they can't come forward for help. But the important thing about it is that when men do come for help with migraine, it has been shown that the condition, because they're more likely to be a little bit worse when they do come forward for it, because because migraine can be episodic, and you might get it every now and again, and then it can develop then to become chronic if it's not looked after. And then you might get it more frequently then, and it can start to behave a bit differently and be a little bit harder to treat. So what I would say to anyone listening that is, please just don't dismiss it, even if you feel, oh sure, it's only a headache, I've always lived with it, I've always, I would say, even though it's hard, and I do know that there's different levels of services available in different areas, do try and seek some support if you can.
It's a bit of a minefield from what I'm gathering from you. And to add to that, I believe there's various different versions of migraine. And I won't ask you to go through the ins and outs of them.
And I'm glad you won't ask me, because there's actually, would you believe, 200 different kinds of headache conditions, and growing. They're always finding new ones. So at the moment we're at 200. Not all of them are migraine. There's different kinds of headache conditions as well, which would fall under our umbrella as an organisation. Migraine is the most common, but there's also cluster headache, and there's drawing a blank now, but there's other kinds of headache that people live with, but then migraine itself, there's so one of the rarer kinds of migraine is a condition called hemiplegic migraine. Oh. And how that works is the way that it affects that person's brain is that it will the symptoms they will have will involve them be having a little bit of they can have tingling, or they can affect their might have temporary paralysis of their face or their arm, and it's quite rare, and it can run in families. But it would be we've got a lot of people who live with that in contact with us. So another kind would be migraine with aura as well, which more general aura, where you might I think that's around 20% of people get that one off the top of my head, where people might feel they will see some spots or see some visual things before they get the actual headache comes on then afterwards. So sometimes people, that could be a sign. And then so there's all different kinds, and I suppose worrying about when it's going to come on is a big thing for people, and makes it hard to plan and that kind of thing.
And then the other thing to think of when you're talking about migraine is triggers. So what are the more prevalent triggers?
Well, we had a speaker, actually, Dr. McCann, on Friday talking about this, and how she explained it, I just really loved, it really resonated with me. She was saying that our brains are still basically caveman brains, and they're designed to live in the forest, and the world we live in today is just full of triggers. So whether it's screens, noises, fluorescent lights, smells, and stress, just all the different things that are going on. We're supposed to be in a forest where maybe, we have to worry about, I don't know, woolly mammoths chasing us, but we also would have a lot of places to relax and a lot of trees and beautiful nature to be around to wind down after we hide from the woolly mammoth, I don't know. But so that's how she explained it to us, that our brains are just literally not able to deal with what we're dealing with at the moment. and that's everybody. So if you can imagine then a person, so people I'm sure back in those days had migraine too, and like today, if you have a brain today that is a migraine brain, as we say, then you're going to find it that bit harder. And so triggers are all around us. So the most common triggers that come to mind would be screens and lights, and smells are a big thing for people. And stress is huge. Stress is massively involved. So it can be any kind of stress. It can be the stress from actually living with migraine itself. So, it can actually just having the condition and worrying about when it's going to rear its ugly head. That in itself is enough stress to actually worsen the condition. So it can be a vicious cycle. Then you have workplace stress. Unfortunately, migraine tends to peak around the time in your life where you are juggling everything. You're juggling you might have young children and older family members. You might have a full-time job. You might have, or maybe you don't have work, or you're worried about money. Maybe, it's at the time in your life where you really are just that you least need it. That's when it seems to be the most prevalent as well, the condition. So, triggers. One thing that's important is that there's some triggers that we can control, like to the best of our ability. Like we might be able to say, oh, I know that particular food sets me off. I know that, I know if I don't go to bed on time, I get a migraine, those kinds of things. But there's a lot of triggers we can't control, like the weather, to name one obvious one. We also can't control a level of what pressure we're under in work and that kind of things, or whatever it is going on in your life. So it's just important when we talk about triggers that they're only one element of it. And you can be doing everything right, and you can be managing all your triggers as best you can. And you still might end up getting a real, banger of a migraine attack, and that's just not your fault, so it's important about triggers. But there is a nice kind of easy to remember, what's the word, it's I can't think of the word, I'm on the spot now.
Seeds.
So we say seeds, that's what I was saying. But so seeds, it's so sleep, regular, everything. Migraine loves regular everything. So sleeping regularly, so as best you can, try to go to bed and get up at the same time. Eating, and the key thing is, again, migraine loves routine, so just trying to eat regularly at the same kind of times and not to be skipping meals where possible. Easier said than done for some people, but just an easy one to remember, just try and then exercise can help as well. It can be hard for people to incorporate exercise, so I would always say if you're not exercising and you want to bring that into your life, get some support with that. Maybe talk to the doctor about what might be good, get some support while you go through that, in case it does. It is hard. Diary then is the D. So seeds is we're down as far as D. So diary can help you just to get some insight into what triggers you do maybe you didn't realize certain triggers. Maybe it can help you to plan, and it can help you to figure out maybe what treatments work, what doesn't work, and it can help you to maybe recognize red flags as well. So you can make decisions around that. So if they say with support to your doctor, you could keep a diary for a certain period of time just to kind of investigate. You don't have to do it all the time because you'd be fed up doing it all the time, but just to give you some insight. Maybe if you're having a phase where you're kind of like, God, I wasn't this bad this time last year, what's going on? Might be a good time to maybe start a diary, go through, see what's going on, see if you can figure out. And it just gives you more decision-making capacity then. And then the last one is stress. And I think that's the most important one anyway, is in a lot of the migraine clinics around the country now, they'll have counselling and psychology support. Stress is huge, and it could be underlying stress, it could be post-traumatic stress, it could be stress from, like I said, living with the actual chronic illness. Maybe you have another illness as well. That's enough to cause the stress and just compound it and kind of cause a vicious cycle. So I would say to anyone listening, if you think stress, I don't think any of us are immune to stress. So if that's one thing you can get some support with, I would certainly think that's great. It's a great place to start as well.
Very good. If, for example, me, I have just started my first attack, have you any advice for me?
The first thing to do is to go to the doctor, because the thing about migraine is that the symptoms are so like so many other conditions that can be dangerous. So the most important thing with migraine is to get a diagnosis. A lot of people live with migraine and they don't know. And like I said, there's 200 different kinds of headache and they all act differently. So, you never figure out which one you have on your own. So it's very important that if you feel that you've got a new symptom or your symptoms have changed or you've got something like an attack for the first time, to do again an assessment by a doctor, by your GP, as soon as you can, and figure out what's going on and how best to treat it. So that would be my first and most important piece of advice. And they know in the office now, they're always saying, that's what I'm always saying, go to your GP. So
Yeah.
it's just really important because a lot of people just dismiss it and they just feel, and you go to the GP and maybe, I'm only here with a headache. And that's just, it's so important to get it looked at and assessed for your own safety, but also for your own well-being so that you can manage it. And get on top of it and figure out what you're actually dealing with. Yeah.
And I'd imagine GPs are very, very good with migraine sufferers.
Yeah, so they're thankfully in the last kind of since the 90s, I think there's been a huge increase in the research and the understanding of the condition. So, maybe people went previously and they didn't feel that maybe their doctor did understand, and we hear that sometimes. But I would say if you've had that experience, maybe try again, because it's definitely, I think, a growing area of understanding. And there are, we only recently actually, in the last few months, we published a GP guide all about the condition. We sent one to, I think we tried anyway to get to every GP in the country to post one to them. And we got lovely feedback on that it was, so if anyone, a GP was listening or anything, we have more, we'd be happy to post them on, and there is a digital version as well. So we're also doing GP education and that as well. So we're all about supporting GPs.
Now, my last question before we get on to Migraine Ireland. If I go to my GP, I have a migraine, am I referred automatically to Migraine Ireland?
No, because we're only just a support organisation. So the GP would just organise your management and your treatment plan and look after you. And we are just there for really to support people going through it. So and to try to be a voice for people that are living with the condition, to advocate for them. And we provide different services like the information line, and we also try to run a quarterly a course. It's called a self-empowerment course. Like that would just go through some of the information and ins and outs of the condition, and also just for people to find maybe talk to others going through the same thing or similar. So no, unfortunately, no, they don't all refer. Some GPs would send people on, but it would be kind of more self-referral, people stumbling across their own. Yeah.
I've begun to ask people that, and some are very good at getting people now with probably more complex conditions. They're good at referring them on. I want to ask you about Migraine Ireland. Do you know when that was founded and why?
So hang on, it was 30 years last year, so it's 1995, if my maths is right. I wasn't here for that, but yeah, so I think it's 31 years on the go now, and that's 31 years, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it's a long time on the go. It's so thankfully it's still standing.
And it's an information service, am I right?
Primarily, yeah, information and support and advocacy.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the main things, yeah.
So tell us some of the services you provide.
Well, I mentioned the info line, so I won't go into that. So really what that is, I won't go into too much anyway, but essentially you can email us info@migraine.ie, or you can pick up the phone and leave a message, or if it's out of hours, or you can get one of us here. It's nearly always me that should be talking to, and we just talk it through what's going on. And so like that, we're not able to provide any clinical advice for the reasons I said. You have to go to the doctor for safety, but we do try to provide the information and support that people might be looking for. We provide signposting of where to get seen and get support and get the different specialists and that kind of thing. And so that's the information line. The other services, we provide a lot of we try to get as many varied and different experts on the topic as we can for people. So nearly on a monthly basis, we'd be certainly aiming for monthly, if not every couple of weeks anyway. We have some expert that will come and do a free talk for us, and most of them. Sometimes the odd time for whatever reason the speaker wouldn't want to be recorded, but like yourselves, we have all of our back catalogue is all available on YouTube. So we have lots and lots of a wealth of information there. As I said, screens can be a trigger for people, so we do try to keep it so people can listen to it kind of as a podcast type thing if you want to stick it on the car or whatever as well. So there's lots of we try to provide that, and that's a key thing. And then we do our self-empowerment course on a quarterly basis, where we get maybe 10 people together online as well, just to make it accessible for people who aren't in Dublin or whatever, to join together and just kind of go through the ins and outs of it and what people can go through, and maybe learn something new or share something, or just meet people going through the same thing. So they're kind of the three. I probably think of loads of things I didn't say afterwards, but
don't worry.
They're the main things anyway.
That's what we want, the main bits.
And of course, providing the information and researching the condition and trying to get all the information together in a central hub on our website for people. Yeah,
that's really important. And what are the benefits then of joining the migraine community?
Well, the migraine community is a great place. So I think the most important thing that comes through is we often go out and do public information talks in libraries or workplaces, or sometimes like that we'll have the online courses, and people finding other people that get it. That's bringing people together is really, really amazing, because I think a lot of people do suffer in silence, and they suffer alone, and they might be just around people, family members and loved ones that don't have it, and therefore they just, when you talk to someone else that just gets it.
Yeah.
So I think that's really great, and that's always the big thing that comes through anytime we kind of get people together in a room or whatever. That's always, I think, the thing that shines through, that people just got to talk to other people that get it. So that's one of the benefits. But if you're talking about being a supporter of us, really it's to support our work, be supporting we're a tiny team, and it would just be to try and keep get our information, keeping it updated and keeping it there for everybody. And like that, we do have a peer-to-peer platform as for our members to like that, to share different things they're going through, ask questions to each other. That's online. And then we provide a quarterly newsletter as well, just on everything and anything to do with migraine. It's digital, and it's all of our, just whatever's kind of updates, what we're doing, what's going on, and then we'll do kind of a few topics of interest as well. So maybe the main things really, off the top of my head.
Hey, fair play to you. That's fantastic. I'd imagine it would be very useful to somebody who is looking in from the outside.
Oh, we certainly hope so.
I would imagine. Yeah. Now, we've come right to the end of the interview. You'd be delighted to know. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Just thank you. Thanks. It was really nice talking to you. And just if anyone's listening, if you are concerned at all, I would say pick up the phone to the GP. Your feelings are valid, and it's not an easy illness to live with, even if it's very kind of publicly misunderstood. But that, what you're going through is real, and it's tough. So if you need support, please go and talk to your GP about it today if you can. And if we're here as well, so pick up the phone. I can't remember off the phone number off the top of my head because I'm terrible.
It's on the website.
It's on the website, but our info line as well is there. If you wanted to ask any questions, you needed some support, you're not sure what to do, that's what we're here for. So other than that, just thanks to you and all your team for giving us the chance to talk to you today. It was really nice, and certainly admire all the work you do as well. So thanks a million.
It's our pleasure. Last thing, just give out the website, please.
Oh, migraine.ie. www.migraine.ie.
Naomi, thanks for talking to us at Disability Matters.
Thank you. Thanks for
You're
having
very
me.
good.
Thanks.
It's
Take
our
care.
pleasure,
Take care.
as I said.
Bye bye.